Hello, my name is John Rose, and in this video I'd like to take a closer look at what is called autarky from a raw food, cooked food perspective. Remember, we always have to look at everything from a raw food, cooked food perspective, because with cooked food we have the wrong mentality. And we'll never be able to solve any of our problems as long as we have the wrong mentality. We've lost one of our senses. That's what cooked food does. It destroys one of our senses. Now when we have 5 senses, we're supposed to have 6. As a result, we have the wrong mentality. As a result, we have 10 subsequent needs from having the wrong mentality. That's why we have a government that's controlling us. That's why we have money that's controlling us. And what autarky is all about, my friends, it's all about having individual as well as national self-sufficiency. Now, this reminds me of Dr. Norman Walker's last of his 8 books that he wrote, called Back to the Land. Remember, Dr. Walker's the father of juicing. He's the first guy that figured out you can get juice out of a carrot. And then it also reminds me of Spaces of Love in the Ringing Cedars series. Again, this is all about becoming self-sufficient, especially nationally. And in my last 2 videos, I explained how we have collectivism on one hand and anarchy on the other on a political extreme, and how in a sick world neither one of them can work. And yet in an ideal world, when we all get reconnected, we'll have both collectivism and anarchy at the same time. And remember, anarchy does not mean chaos. It just means we don't need any leaders at this point. Now we're going to need leaders to get us out of the hell we're in and get back to where we need to be, so we can play in paradise, so to speak. But we don't need leaders once we get there. Instead of what we got in place of leaders are rulers. So the people who rule the world don't want us to have this national self-sufficiency. And this is what Germany and Japan did. They proved to the world what would happen if you got away from that control mechanism, where you let someone else come in and print your money, and then they charge you interest for it, and you become indebted to them. Right now, there's not enough money in print to pay back the money we owe to these scoundrels who are conning us and printing our money for us and having us become debt slaves. So the principle of autarky is what Hitler used, and that's why he was so threatened. Both Germany and Japan used this concept, this principle of autarky, where we have both individual and national self-sufficiency. The people who rule the world don't want that to happen, and they're doing a pretty good job of it, because they have convinced us that Germany and Japan were the bad guys and that these people were doing bad things. Yeah, they were doing bad things for the people who rule the world, because they proved to the world we live on an abundant planet. When we stop letting other people siphon off all the profits that we make, we soon realize, my God, look what we can do. And this is exactly what Hitler did. When Hitler came into power, Germany was the poorest country in the world. And what did he do? He kicked out the bankers and made his own money, put his countrymen to work building a beautiful Germany. And that's what they did. Hey, well, we'll pay you, spend the money, and they flourished. Why? Because the profits weren't siphoned off by this small group of people. Most people have no conception about how money works, and how if we looked at a balance sheet for the world and we saw how much they had, how much we had, we would go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. We live on a planet that should be paradise, and it could be paradise if we could do 2 things: go upstream, get reconnected, and go downstream and deal with the damage that's done. Remember that we've been damaged socially, individually, and environmentally. So socially, we've got to look at all the things these people have done to control us. And the big thing they've done is they've got us to pass, in America, the Federal Reserve Act, which allowed them to print the money. Their membership, their charter just went up just recently. For their 100 years they've been doing this, and we renewed it again. What's going on? Why are our politicians allowing this to happen? What is it going to take for us to put our politicians' hands on the fire? Well, how does that expression go? I'm not sure. Make them accountable. We've got to do something about this. This is insane. We've got to end the Fed immediately. Immediately. The dollar, when they came in 1913, a dollar now is worth a nickel. That's what they do, and they do it by design. Why? Because they want to keep us poor so they can control us. That's why billions of people around the world are starving to death. They're not making any money. They're kept in poverty for a reason. because they don't want to have a bunch of people healthy because they can't control them. My friends, we have to understand that we all play a big role when it comes to getting out of the hell we're in. And the main thing we all have to do is get reconnected. You got to stop eating cooked food, man. Cooked food destroys the biophotons. It's sunlight energy that we store in the nucleus of our cells. It's faster than the speed of light. It's what feeds our sixth sense. It's what makes us feel one with everyone. And if we had the right mentality, we wouldn't have to be told to do anything. We would know automatically that the only way we can make our lives better is to make everything around us better, and that's how we'd spend our day. That's what the German people did. They made Germany better. They built highways all across the way. They built houses for the people to work with. We should be doing this for everybody. Everything should be free. We shouldn't have to spend hours a day doing something we don't like. It should only take a few minutes a day to do what we need to do to provide our basic needs. Once we have a forest of fruit, it doesn't take hardly any upkeep at all to keep this thing going. We'd have a steady food supply with no effort at all. We'd have built so many things. We'd go, okay, what's our new project? Let's build another river over here in the desert, like Gaddafi did. And what did we do? We went in and destroyed that. I got to double check that. I haven't double checked that. I heard that a while back, and I can believe it. What was Gaddafi doing? He was proving to the world that we live on an abundant planet. Look what I'm going to do. I'm going to build this, I think it was like a 50-mile river in a desert. I mean, this is what we should be doing all around the planet. We should be making this a paradise. There's no reason why we can't have everything abundant. And people say, well, you can't do this up in Finland. Well, maybe you shouldn't be up there. And I feel sorry if that's where your heritage is, because I sure want to be part of my heritage. I can understand that. But you have to understand, we don't know what's going to happen once we reach the tipping point. How we're going to be able to accommodate people who are in those type of climates, if they want to be. And again, we can't project in the future. We have no idea. Once we reach the tipping point, once we get enough people getting reconnected, then we'll have enough inertia so that more and more people will be doing it. And it's going to be hard not to want to do it. You're going to be pulled into it because that's just how things are. Remember, we're herd animals. Right now, we're headed for a cliff or to that iceberg. And most of us are just gliding with the stream of the crowd. We're oblivious to what's going on. We don't know why we do what we do. We just do it and believe things without understanding that most of what we believe we never even thought of. It's just been pounded in our brains so much. It's there. We got lots of references. Interesting, I never even studied this, but yet I've got tons of references that make me think this is true. We don't want to keep gliding that way, my friends. And if we can get the trim tabs to turn that ship just a little bit, turn the rudder on the rudder, we can start showing the herd a whole new reality. And that's the beauty of it. That's what happens when we reach the tipping point. Once we reach the tipping point, oh man, that ship turns around and goes the other way. Or goes a different direction, whichever way it's supposed to be. It's up to you. That's all I can say. You're the one that has to make it happen. And I'm real excited about my YouTube channel. I'm seeing it happen right now. I'm seeing the potential of what can happen if more and more people start doing this, sharing their message. I've often said many times, if you guys could hear the conversations I have with people when they're on day 68, well, go check out my channel. You're going to find people posting what happened to them on day 68. This is exciting. There's ups and downs. There's all sorts of transformations we go through. Once we realize we've got filth inside of us and we're lacking the sunlight energy that makes us feel one with everything. This is the problem. And people still want to rationalize, oh, I don't believe raw food's the way to go. I still think we need to cook our food. I still think we need to eat animals. You're rationalizing, man. You're rationalizing. You're in denial. No one's supposed to cook their food. Cooking doesn't make our food better in any one way except more lycopene, more beta-carotene, and you people fall for that crap. You get a couple little micronutrients and we lose all the other stuff and we turn it into poison. Oh, cooked food's not poison, John. It's a form of slow poison, mainly because it makes us feel disconnected. It's the worst side effect from eating cooked food there is. Our biophoton levels just keep going lower and lower and lower, and we have less and less of our sixth sense. Fortunately, it's still there, and we have some part of humanity left in us. But my God, if our biophoton levels collectively were up where they're supposed to be, this planet would be such a treat to live on. I'm telling you, I keep saying you're in for a treat when you do a juice fast, but when we reach the tipping point and we get back up and we're playing in paradise, that's when we're in for a treat. That's what we're supposed to be doing. That's what we're meant to do. We're supposed to be the guardians on this planet, and we're failing miserably because we're disconnected. And now we've got the sickest of us exploiting the sickness in man. We got to get rid of the sickness in man. The most common disease and the most dangerous disease that's ever afflicted mankind since the fall of mankind is where we have an abnormally low biophoton level, and I coined that condition hypoheliosis. And this is what we have to eradicate on this planet. If we can eradicate hypoheliosis, then we're in for a treat.